Welcome, Dr. James Beckett Sports Card Insights, another recap episode. I enjoy doing these. It's now every 25 episodes. That can be 5 weeks, so I have to reflect back and think, what did we talk about 5 weeks ago? But most of the episodes are titled in a way that you can get an idea. And I know some people listen to a lot of the episodes, but you're welcome to pick and choose the ones you think you would like the most. But this is an opportunity just to give you a little glimmer of something you may have missed, or give me a chance to reinforce something, amplify something, or add something to what was in the original episode. So thank you for that. Thank you, sponsors: Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, Heritage Auctions, Huggins & Scott Auctions, Mike Stadium Sports Cards, Burbank Sports Cards, ComC.com, and Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentication. I begin with 770, which was the outtakes from Hobby Hotline. Again, always encourage you to listen to the original show. And out of an hour, sometimes more than an hour, that we get going with several co-hosts and guest participants, commenters, call-ins, we can go all over the place. And one of the ideas that came up, I thought there ought to be a party bus for the National to go back and forth between the Philadelphia airport, and maybe a national cruise where you could stay out off the boardwalk and come in for the show. Maybe it'd even be a casino cruise line or something, although I don't know that's possible. At any rate, the best thing that came out of that is that I have now got a ride, and I'm not going to tell you what it is because I'm going to wait until afterwards, because on the way back from the National, I'm riding back with a significant hobbyist, and we're going to have a great time. Hopefully not being stuck in traffic, but if you're going to be stuck in traffic, why not be stuck with a friend, or what I say, a future friend, because a lot of the people in the hobby, if you don't already know them, you would enjoy knowing them. And I'm going to get to know this guy even better, because we're going to be stuck in a car discussing what just happened of the past 5 days of the National when I go back on Sunday. So that's what came out of that. 776 was the first I try to do leading up to and during the week of Father's Day, some Father's Day episode. That's become a third year of a tradition of doing that. I really enjoyed that. I've had Joe Davis on from Got Baseball Cards in the Atlanta area several times, but this got Joe with Josh, his son, that he's very proud of, and deservedly. I found out Josh is Joe's secret weapon, and I'm wondering, there's a Father's Day, there's a Mother's Day. When is there going to be a Son's Day? Because I felt like that's what it was. But great time with Josh and Joe, and I hope you enjoy that. If you missed it, the good guys, and again, nice when the father and the son are not carbon copies. Each one has slightly different gifts. 777 was Steve and Jesse Bachman, one of my favorite national landing plates. I found out, much to my chagrin, they're not bringing their lower level stuff to Atlantic City, driving from Iowa and Florida respectively. And so, no offense to them, but I won't be spending as much time with them as I otherwise would be, because they are well organized. I like the way they do it, and I'm not disliking what they're going to do in Atlantic City. I certainly understand when you're driving a long way, your table real estate is important. That's that. The 778 was the Moco Sports card shop in New Buffalo with Rex and Max and Owen. I've really enjoyed interacting with them indirectly through Hobby Hotline and some of the other podcasts out there. But I love it when there's a family card shop that was motivated by the son's interest, and the dad was very entrepreneurial. So I wish them great success. They've already expanded a couple times, and so we heard a little bit of the father and son's dynamic. 779 was Ray and Ryan Schulte, another father-son. Found out that just like back in the day, if it's take your son or daughter to work for a day, or in Ryan's case, take your son to work for a week. I think Ray really loaded him up, and he didn't buckle under the pressure, but really enjoyed it. So maybe he's got some of his dad's personality to be around people 5 straight days and just assisting and making sure things get done. So Ray does a great job. Ryan, chip off the old block. So enjoyed that. 780, Jordan Hagedorn with his dad, Bob, who's got cancer. But in spite of that, you can see the respect for each other and that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. That Bob, not so much of a collector as much as, again, they're sports fans. He coached his son, a lot of the great stuff that forms the fabric of our hobby. 781, not to make light of it, but it was just a simple box review. Don't discount some of these box reviews, because when you do an audio box review, you can't really point to the cards. You can talk about them in a sense. So I'm trying to inject other things in there about that particular product or something that evokes. So I hope you enjoy those. I appreciate getting the box from Upper Deck. And again, hope you get some sports card insights from that. 782, the dueling questions with Joe and Josh Davis. Again, that was where I'm ruling out. When it's 2 against 1, I'm trying to even that out and make it not necessarily a triple duel, but give them a question that they could answer and give them turns to ask me separate or together questions, or Josh could ask a question of Joe and me. So a little more free form there, and enjoyed it. They were good sports. 783, this was Roger Neufeld, and I called it an OG conversation. Roger and I have known each other for a long time. He came to one of my dinners down here, and I see him at a lot of the shows. He's steady and faithful, and he's got some great helpers that I also respect. But I didn't want to title this Two Old Guys Talking About the Good Old Days and the way it used to be, but it certainly felt like that. And Roger and I could have, it's one of the reasons I have to have a 15-minute time limit, because Roger and I could go on quite a bit. 784, dueling questions with Steve and Jesse. When I'm sitting at their table over the years and gotten to know them, and along with their mom and wife, respectively, Brenda, and I'm not real chatty because I'm not extrovert, but I'll visit with them off and on while I'm sitting there, and it's not just pass me another box. So I've gotten to know them a little bit, and I've really enjoyed that, and I had no fear of their questions. I'm sure they had no fear of mine, but that was enjoyable. Dueling questions with Rex and Max and Owen. Didn't know what I was going to get there. I do know to expect the unexpected from kids. So when kids are under 18, they have their own perspectives, and I think it's important. I really want to do not serious dueling questions, but I really think that I can get questions that I don't think of things that way. And I got it ×2 with Max and Owen. So thanks for your candor, and you're willing to step up and be young adults. 786, the dueling questions with Jordan and Bob Hagedorn for the hobby, or the Bobby. It just was great to see their admiration and respect for each other. And I'm trying to do that with my dad as he's advancing in years. It's good to see a kind of a generational transfer that's healthy and good. 787, the dueling questions with Ray and Ryan, the Schultes, Schulte Sports Marketing. And again, Ryan seems like he's on the right track. I'm sure Ray is very proud. I would be if I were Ryan's dad. He's a sharp guy. And I think he's going to have another crash course next week at the National. It's just in 1 week. And I think Ryan has the attitude. I don't know what I'm going to be doing, but he's faithfully following through on the things that his dad's shown him and asked him to do. And I just think that's terrific. 788, I titled it 52 Mantles with Roger Neufeld. And again, you can go back and listen to it, and you can hear it. And I just think a lot of people are not going to believe it because so many of the stories from the 50s and 60s and even 70s just seem unbelievable now. But there's no reason to, it's not about lying, or it's not even about exaggerating. Even if somebody were to be exaggerating by double, it's still ridiculous to think that somebody had that many mantles and had that many opportunities. So if you're beating yourself up for not holding on to something, remember that episode where, and I think Roger's done fine. He had a great career, and I think he really enjoys what he's doing. But certainly he should have just kept a few of those mantles and just set them aside. 789 and 90, I'll do those together with Kunal Chopra, the new Beckett CEO. Really excited to see him come in. They did a nationwide, international, whatever search to get a CEO that had some good experience of running a company. What that says to me is they want to make it a little more of a tech company. Kunal keeps talking about tools, but again, that's what we did back with limited technology back in the day, but we were creating tools for hobbyists to enjoy their hobby. And so if he's helping Beckett Media get back to its roots, that will be terrific. And he's moving here, and I'll finally meet him at the National, I think. And then after that, I'm going to be out at the new offices and stuff like that. 791 and 92 were outtakes from Hobby Palooza. The Hobby Hotline crew, the expanded crew, got a slot there. And again, thanks Mike and Ty for setting up this Hobby Palooza concept. And I think the Hobby Hotline guys were, and me, we're thinking, hey, we got to take this seriously. We're going to have an audience that is expanded from what we usually have. So again, thanks Mike and Ty for setting that up with Bench Clear Media. 793 and 794 were both Hobby Hotlines of the following week, actually, which is back to the regular thing. But still, it's always good. And again, you should go listen and watch, and even live, you can contribute to it. And I'm on maybe once a month. The first one was International Trading Card Day. When I say I want to make the pie bigger and I want something that's good for the hobby, really dawned on me that making the pie bigger, it's an international pie. Making the pie bigger, it's not just sports cards. I'm Sports Card Insights, but it's not just sports cards. It's International Trading Card Day. Again, cards are a big deal. So it needs to be good for the whole hobby, and that's expanding the whole hobby. And the Dallas versus the National, it's ironic. The very following week, I went out to Burbank, my long-awaited tour of Burbank Sports Cards with Rob Veras, longtime friend. And so he still thinks that Burbank and the LA, Southern California, is the epicenter. But we were describing and contrasting the National with the Dallas show. And there's been another Dallas show since then, too. So, again, I'm partial to Dallas. But, again, go back to the original episode to check that out. $7.95, the National Prep. I just thought, the National's coming up. I had 10 random thoughts. They're random in the fact that they were not sequential, but they're thoughts that I've had. And I just thought I'm going to put them in. They all have to do a little bit with the National, and I'll just do it and see. And I've already gotten some response. 8 listener questions. Again, just every so often I'm going to grab the questions, and again, not sequential, but just things that I think are interesting. I don't do every question, but I do ones that I think, hey, I can make a comment on that. And then 797 and 98 were the outtakes from a couple of separate pieces that Ezra and the Collectible folks did. I like what Collectible's doing. I think they have an interesting business model. And even if cards don't grow at 25% a year, I don't think their business model requires that, and I don't think you should blame them if that doesn't happen. In the meantime, I see them doing some things that are indeed trying to make the pie bigger. So thanks, Ezra. Look forward as those pieces are fully put together, History of the National and Road to the National, and available with other contributors, that I'm looking forward to seeing that. So anyway, as always, check the original material. This is just a heavily edited version of when I spend an hour with somebody on the phone or on the Zoom. I'm recording it and I'm thinking, is there 10 or 15 minutes I can use? So I have. That's the last 25 episodes. I hope you're going to have a great time at the National, which is next week. If you see me, say hi. I'll be happy to say hi in between looking at cards and wandering around. It's going to be, again, a great Super Bowl of the hobby. So I'll be there, and I hope to see you there. So thanks, everybody. Back again tomorrow.